Hi, this is Miss Villasenor, and we're going to be doing some math, and we're going to be focusing on opposite of a number. So it's kind of a review, but then we're going to have a little bit of a more challenge situations that you've been working on. So the first thing I want you to do is, in your notes, I want you to find the relationship between the sets of words. And no, you don't have to do it for all of these guys, but I want you to choose 5 words, okay? And find the relationship between the sets of words, okay? So you get to pick 5 sets. So if you're like, what do you mean, Miss Villasenor? I'll start with the first one. So, but you can't use that one, but you can put that as an example. So if we're talking about fast and slow, we got to think about, okay, what is the relationship between these two? Oh, well, we're talking about speed. And so one is going really fast and one's going slow. So then we're talking about opposites in speed. Okay, so I want you to choose 5 other sets of words. They're easier. There's some that are easier, and then there's some that are more challenging. So those of you that want to go up to the ordinary, from an ordinary to extraordinary, and you want to try, you're really good with vocabulary words, go ahead and choose more challenging. This section here has more of the challenging words. And write those in your notes and then pause it and come back. Okay, so I will review those notes when you turn them in, of how do these two relationships, what is the situation between the two relationships. But I hope you found in it that all of these are opposites. Okay. So what we're going to do next is review patterns in number lines. So what kind of things have you noticed in number lines? Any patterns? I'm just going to go basic number line here. And I want you to think about patterns that you have found in number lines. Um, we have found that for each number to the right of 0, so that would be the positives, and on the left it will be the same. It will be the same distance from 0. So if we have 1, then on the other side you'd get the -1 because of the spacing from 0. What does 0 represent on a number line? It represents like the separation of positives and negatives, so it separates it. What is the relationship between any two opposite numbers and 0 on the number line? Well, remember, opposite numbers are the same distance from 0, but they're on opposite sides of 0. Okay, so remember those things as we do this lesson. Okay, so the next thing is I'm going to show you this number line. Okay, so looking at this number line, we have a number line that goes up to 8. And the directions here state locate the number 8 and its opposite on the number line. So because 8 is by itself, it's going to be on the positive side. And we know that there are 8 spaces to 0. And what would be the opposite would be 8 more spaces to the opposite direction of 0. And that would give us -8. So you had that review where how do we explain opposites? It's there. In this case, there are 8 units from 8 to 0, and so we're going to go 8 more units on the opposite side of 0. Another thing that with opposites, sometimes they give us like things that are non-zero. You might see maybe on a test or a problem where it says that if a non-zero has a non-zero integer, we'll call it the non-zero integer, and it has an opposite. So if I give you the non-zero integer of -a, a as an apple, what would be its opposite? Well, it would just be the opposite would be the regular a, or positive a, right? So if they're opposites of 0. So you might see a number line that has non-zero integers, like maybe x, negative x here. Then you have y, so negative y here. So when dealing with opposites and these non-zero integers, the rules apply the same. So from y to 0, there's 1, 2, 3 spaces, and then from 0 to the other side, negative y. So the opposites in this case would be y and negative y. So you're going to see non-zero integers as well, and the rules apply the same as far as opposites. Okay, so we're gonna do another example. We can't forget about the real world examples that you're gonna see word problems, but you should be getting good at these now. We've been doing quite a few. So I'm gonna read the word problem for you. So another example that you will see situations with opposites. So if Maria decides to take a walk along Central Avenue to purchase a book at the bookstore. On her way, she passes Furry Friend's pet shop and goes in to look for a new leash for her dog. Furry Friend's pet shop is 7 blocks west of the bookstore. 7 blocks west of the bookstore. She leaves Furry Friend's pet shop and walks towards the bookstore to look at some books. After she leaves the bookstore, she heads east for 7 blocks and then stops at Ray's pet shop to see if she can find a new leash at a better price. So going back, I see that Furry Friend's pet shop is 7 blocks west, and then as she leaves to the bookstore, she heads 7 blocks. I think they said east. I'm looking. Oh yeah, she heads east. Okay, so the question is, let me erase that because I can't see it. Which location, if any, is the farthest from Maria while she's at the bookstore? So, looking at this number line, which location, if any, is the farthest from Maria while she's at the bookstore? So, we're focusing on this location. So if we go from here to here, that's 7 units, right, on the right. And if we look from here to here, that's 7 units on the left. So to explain our answer is right here, this would be a good one because they want you to use words. Something like, the pet stores are the same distance from Maria who's at the bookstore. They are each 7 blocks away, but in opposite directions. And then in this example, 0 would represent the bookstore. Okay, so number lines, distance. So if the distance are the same in the opposite direction, those are considered opposites. Okay, so one more example, and this one has to do with money. Another real world situation here, math situation. So if you look at this number line, you see that this is divided by 5 units in between 1, up to 15 in both directions. And if they were going to ask us on a number line, locate and label a credit of $15. So we know that credit represents a positive amount. If somebody gives you credit to your account, that means you have that money. So in this case, credit would be labeled in the positive direction. So that's on the right of 0. If in this situation, if they were to ask us what does 0 mean, in this situation, 0 would mean that that there's no charge in the balance. Okay, no charge. If there was supposed to be, if the 0 would represent no charge, there was no money given, no money taken out. Okay, now if we were going to look at the opposite direction, and credit, the opposite of credit would be like debit, taken out. So debit would be on the negative side of it. because you're taking money out. Credit is putting money in your account. Okay, so go ahead and try the problems, and remember to come up and set appointments with your teacher if you want additional help. You could also ask partners near you, look up things online to help you, and remember to take your notes. Thank you.